Hey everyone, welcome back to Dev Parkour. I'm Brian Parks, and in this video I want to talk about static analysis. Specifically, we're going to be using a tool called SonarQube to do some static analysis on our Glassminnow project. And I actually have I reached really far back into the archives, pulled up another PHP project that will actually run SonarQube on as well. So let's get into it. So first, let's go off to the SonarQube website and see what SonarQube is. So SonarQube, in short, is a static analysis tool. It looks at your code and finds bugs, potential bugs. Obviously, it doesn't run your code, so it can't find actual bugs, and it doesn't really know what your code is trying to do, but it can find potential bugs, security vulnerabilities, security hotspots, code smells, technical debt, that sort of thing. It exists for a ton of programming languages, some that I didn't expect to see in this list. You've got the usual suspects: C#, Java, C, C++, JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Go, Swift. Those all make sense. But COBOL? Really? Apex, if you're a Salesforce developer, you know what Apex is. PHP, of course, that'll be useful for us. And there's even more. It says 27 programming languages, and here this is only 12 of them. So more than twice as many as they're showing right here. So to get SonarQube, you can just click this download link and then click download for free. We are going to be using the community edition, which is free and open source. They do have paid versions. You pay by the number of lines of code, essentially, that you're scanning. So if you want to get into that, they've got documentation on that. I'm not going to go into it here, but the way I want to run it is through Docker. And you can see, if we go back to the terminal over here, you can see I've already got it running. So the image is SonarQube latest. And it exposes the web interface on port 9000, which I've just mapped to my local port 9000. You can see I've been running this. I created it a few weeks ago to test it out, and I've been running it for about 9 minutes here. So going back to the web browser, we can pull up the SonarQube interface. The web interface, nothing super earth-shattering. It basically shows the projects that you've created in SonarQube and that you've run the Sonar Scanner tool against, and then shows all the information. But even though I've already created a Glassminnow project and run a scan against Glassminnow, before I dive into what it's found, let's actually just delete this and start over. So go ahead and delete the project. Yes, okay, that's fine. And now let's go ahead and create a project. Since I'm running all of this locally, I'm running SonarQube locally, I'm running Glassminnow locally, I'm not going to click from GitLab, which is actually where I have the Glassminnow repository set up, just because I don't think that would work very well since everything's running on my local machine. So I'm going to click manually. We'll say project display name. Let's do Glassminnow. Project key, Glassminnow. That's perfectly fine. Let's click setup. How do you want to analyze your repository? Again, because I'm running all of this locally, I'm not going to set it up with GitLab CI quite yet. Perhaps in the future, I might set up SonarQube on maybe a DigitalOcean droplet, and then I would want to think about doing these scans as part of the CI pipeline, possibly a video for the future. So I'm gonna just click locally. So generate a token. Let's just call this Glassminnow. It already exists because I've done this before. So let's just say Glassminnow local, create, and let's copy this because I think we'll need this in a minute. I'll click continue. What option best describes your build? They have some specialized versions of their scanners for Java projects and for .NET projects. I've used this with .NET as well with great success. It works really well. But I'm going to click other. They have kind of a more general scanner that works for all the other languages. What is your OS? My OS is... This is actually a tricky question because even though I am running on Windows, I'm going to be running the scan in Windows Subsystem for Linux, which for SonarQube's purposes means that I'm essentially running on Linux. So I'm going to choose Linux, and it says download and unzip the scanner for Linux, and it provides a link to that. So you can follow that link and follow the instructions there. I have already downloaded Sonar Scanner. So Sonar Scanner, you can see I've downloaded the zip and I've unzipped it here into this this directory, and we'll actually be using this Sonar Scanner bin binary here. So in order to use it, basically run this command. So you can see it's the Sonar Scanner binary, the project key, the sources, the URL to the host running SonarQube, which in this case is localhost 9000, and then the login key, which I believe is this key that was created before that I specifically copied. I'm actually going to copy it as part of this command here. And I'm actually going to copy just this backslash and these additional options here because I don't have Sonar Scanner in my path. So if I just tried to run sonar-scanner, it would say command not found, which is one of the reasons that when I was showing you where I had it, I left the path here. So let me actually just fix this up a little bit. We'll do that. And now I'm going to paste everything that I copied. And Windows Terminal, thankfully, is very helpful. It says you have multiple lines selected. Do you want to paste this anyway? Yes, I do want to paste this anyway. And now you can see the full command. So we have Sonar Scanner /bin/Sonar Scanner. That's the command. And then those options. The project key is Glassminnow. Sources are the current directory because I am in working Glassminnow. Host URL, localhost 9000, and that login token. So let's hit enter and see what happens. So now the Sonar Scanner is running. It's going to scan through all the files. This version of the scanner basically just detects what's there. You don't configure it to say, hey, look for PHP files, hey, look for JavaScript files, or anything like that. It just looks to see what's there. It just goes from there. The other thing I did need to set up within Windows Subsystem for Linux in order for this to run was it is a Java-based program. So you do need a JDK installed. I think I'm running OpenJDK. I think it said that in one of the debug messages fairly early on. If you can use the official Oracle JDK if you want, but then you have to go through their licensing. You know, that's a topic for a different video. It looks like it's done. Analysis successful, execution success. It took about 46 seconds, and I don't know how to read this, but 14 megabytes of memory of maybe 50 total possible. So let's go over to SonarQube, and it automatically refreshed and shows me that I have 328 bugs, 2 vulnerabilities, 36 security hotspots, 4 days and 6 hours of technical debt. That's cool. 301 code smells, and obviously no test coverage. This is actually kind of misleading. in this case, it is true. I don't have any test coverage. However, this is also because I didn't include a test coverage report in my SonarQube scan, the Sonar scanner run. So if you are doing unit tests and can generate a coverage file, SonarQube will use that in this calculation. It also noticed that I have some duplicated code, so that's interesting. Let me just start there. Let me click on duplicated blocks, and it looks like that's not what I wanted. I just clicked into the file. Maybe that is what I wanted. Not covered by tests. Somewhere in here, you can see code smells left and right. I think this code smell is just that, yeah, it's a magic string instead of a constant, right? Oh, here we go. Duplicated block. Duplicated by many, many lines. That's cool. And you can see if you look at this file, the things that are highlighted do look very similar, right? If is set request order do essentially the same thing. There might be slight variations here, but it's remarkably similar, if not exactly the same. So absolutely, that would be a good place to start with deduplicating some code. Let's go back to overview and look at some of the other things that it shows. So reliability, I get a D. That's, again, this is an old batch of code, pretty old, legacy, not necessarily the best code in the world. So some of these scores I'm not surprised by. Security review E, security D, maintainability A. That's actually surprising, but also a really good sign. Maintainability rating is A when the technical debt ratio is less than 5%. I don't know how it computed that, but my maintainability is an A. I'll take it. Let's look at some of these bugs. So it looks like I have used the exclamation mark operator just once or not at all. Did I think I was using JavaScript? And it looks like I tried to use a JavaScript idiom in PHP code. Okay, that's fair. I'm okay with that. And other things like that. Let's look at some others. Okay, add lang and or XML lang attributes to this HTML element. That's fine. Okay, this one is actually not an issue because I'm using I as an icon. That's kind of been co-opted by icons, at least in the time frame when this was written. So this is kind of a red herring, but it's potentially valid. There might be a better way to do that. Back to the bug list, some more of the same. Remove this if statement. I think if I remember correctly, this is if false. Yeah. So obviously that if statement does nothing other than just hide everything between it. So I should probably just delete that code. Let's go back to the overview and look at some other things. Vulnerabilities. Use secure mode and padding scheme. Here I'm doing some OpenSSL encryption. Interesting. I don't know why, but might be worth looking into. I don't disagree that this is a security issue. Security hotspots. These are things that kind of the things that might be discovered via like a security scan or a penetration test. Things we'll actually be talking about next week. So here it looks like we've got a hard-coded password. I have no idea what that is. This system isn't even running anymore, so I don't have to worry about showing that password on camera. That password does not exist anymore. But I think that's what it's complaining about here. Detected URI with password. Review this potentially hard-coded credential. Yeah, it's an issue because there's a password, and that is high. That is a critical vulnerability. Cross-site scripting. It looks like it doesn't like the way I'm using set cookie. Same thing here. Same thing here. Same thing here. So things to address there. Medium code injection. That's cool. Huh. I'm doing eval right there. That's pretty awesome. I don't know why, but that's cool. Weak cryptography. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, MD5. Yeah. In this case, that's not too much of an issue, and there are actually ways to mark these things as non-issues in SonarQube. In this case, we're not using it for hashing or anything cryptographically that requires strong cryptography. In this case, we're just trying to create a unique name, which, again, there are probably better ways to do that. Well, I know there are better ways to do that, but this might not even be a medium vulnerability. That might, with what we know about the system, or with what I know about the system, that might be more of a low. Insecure configuration, that's cool. And then others. I'm interested in some of these others, but I'm not going to scroll through them. Looks like it wants me to use resource integrity for a lot of these things, just to make sure that if I'm including, in this case, a JavaScript file, and stripe of all JavaScript files, that I make sure that I'm using the actual file and not just, someone hasn't hijacked the DNS or something like that. Okay, so going back to the overview, technical debt and code smells real quick. So code smells, remove commented code. This method has 4 returns, which is more than the 3 allowed. Some things in SonarQube are kind of default heuristics. You can tune them, you can adjust them. If you're okay with, in this case, this method has many different kind of short circuit spots. If you're okay with 4, you can mark this as, this is okay. But I don't disagree with this one. It might be better just to have fewer returns and have a clearer path through the code. So that's actually quite a bit of stuff, and I'm sure this video is already getting long. But real quick, let's create another project real quick, and let's see how again, the very first project that I ever built fares. This is not the first version of this project. This is actually the second or third version of this project. But let's see how it fares. So we'll continue other Linux. Let's grab this. And then go back here, and we're going to just cd up a directory and into that projects folder. And let's remove all this stuff. This is Glassminnow specific. And let's paste and run. And that should work. And this I expect this will probably take about the same amount of time, 40 seconds or so. Looks like it found PHP files, 52 source files to be analyzed. Unable to parse a file. That's cool. That's interesting. I'll be curious to see how that shows up. Even faster, 20 seconds. All right, let's see how that showed up. Lots of duplications. Let's just, I don't know, let's go over here. I'm guessing this file is to delete a user, so let's see what it says. Duplicated block, duplicated by lines 51 to 66. Well, that was less exciting. But as you can see, it's almost duplicated. It's very similar. Not exactly sure what this is doing, but you can see 129 bugs, 0 vulnerabilities. That is false. That is fake news. I don't know why it says 0 vulnerabilities. Maybe it couldn't parse all the files for whatever reason. But this security result is just wrong. 4 days of technical debt, 287 code smells. I'm really surprised that this was not higher, that it didn't come back with a lot more issues. But that just goes to show that automated tools are great for finding things that you might not necessarily see, just by looking things with your eyes. But nothing replaces that strong knowledge of the code, that intimate knowledge of the code. It's just another perspective. So use a tool like this. Use a tool like the ones we're going to talk about next week. And add unit tests and code reviews and all of these things. All of these things are additional perspectives on your code. So ideally, by looking at your code from, at least 4 different angles, you'll be more likely to see all of these different potential issues that might crop up. So with that, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully you learn something from setting up SonarQube. Obviously, we just set it up locally. For real, you would set it up in some sort of production environment, and there's documentation about that. You probably wouldn't set it up quite the way I did, just with the Docker container, and I was using the built-in database. You'd want to use like Postgres as your backend or something like that. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you learned something, go ahead and leave a comment down below with what you learned from this video and what you're going to take back to your day-to-day software engineering, kind of what you do for your day-to-day MO. Hopefully there was something, and hopefully you'll find a way to improve your code because of it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when more videos like this get posted. And again, like I've mentioned a couple times, next week's video is specifically going to be on dynamic security testing. So this was static analysis. Next week is dynamic analysis, where we are actually going to run your code, or in this case, my code, and run some automated tools against an actual running instance of Glassminnow. So that'll be exciting. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe, click that notification bell so you'll know when that video gets posted next week. But of course, there are going to be additional videos this week where I'm going to talk about some of the results we found from this scan, and some of the things I expect to find from next week's scan. So stay tuned for those. And with that, have a great week. No, have a great day, rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.